one of the most amazing stories that I know, period, that I can tell. That has to do with it has to do with science, and so yeah. So what it's about is about how really how science inspires me, and it has to do with the story of Halley's Comet and of Isaac Newton. Have you heard that story? And about the power of science and the power of prediction. Oh man, yeah, it's a great story. It so I mean, so this is probably around the year 1700s, early 1700s. And Newton had already discovered calculus and established the law of gravitation and his laws of motion already or whatever. And Newton was of course in England, and this I forgot, I think he was Dutch, Edmund Halley. Uh he was kind of an astronomer, I guess. And he so so Newton had established the universal law of gravitation that put that gave the planets these elliptical orbits around the sun, right? And it was it gave harmony to the fucking solar system. You could use Newton's laws, the equations, to fucking predict where Saturn will be exactly 7 months, 3 days, and 2 hours from now. Like, it as exact as you want. It depends on how much computing power you have. I mean, this the system, they call it the quote unquote system of the world, whatever. But so so Newton successfully described the heavens. That's what they say, meaning the orbits of the planets. And then so Halley figured out, like had the idea that back in the day, what comets are. He put two and two together and figured out comets must be like planets that just have these crazy longer elliptical orbits than planets. Planets have a little bit more circular, still elliptical, but like more circular, right? Because they're more massive. Comets must have these really what do you call it? Elongated fucking elliptical orbits. And so what he did was fucking he traveled all through Germany, France, I forgot where else, to all the libraries to look for all the records of every sighting of a comet that had been recorded. I mean, because comets before this time, comets were thought to be all this crazy shit. I'm sure you've heard some of the stories. Fucking like comets would be used to fucking, and the Aztecs would think they're being fucking, I mean, a comet would be a sign of you're gonna win a war or lose a war. People would get killed over comets. Nobody understood what the fuck comets were. They just came out of nowhere. And people went to war over comets. It's ridiculous. All right. So Edmund Halley, he went through all the libraries, all the records, and for example, and figured out that this one particular comet passed. So he looked through all the records and he saw that in this part of the sky, roughly every I forgot the period, roughly every 70, it doesn't matter, roughly every 75 years, um there was there was a comet sighting. So like there's one in 1485. At 75 years, there's one in 1560. I'm not doing the math right. I don't care. It doesn't matter. 16, 16, 1565. Roughly every 75 years, there was this sighting in similar part of the sky. And so this is around 1700. He put two and two together because he went to London. He talked to Newton. They both fucking said it's obvious as fuck. And so that at that moment in 1700, and he did looking at the last time it passed was about 40 years before it passed again. Thank God he lived long enough to see it. Edmund Halley made probably the greatest prediction of all time that makes any prophet, priest, astrologer, shaman, witch doctor, fucking psychic, everybody, it makes all of them jealous of the accuracy of the prediction. You get what I'm saying? The accuracy of the prediction. He did he he predicted about it's like 40 years in advance. It was like 42 years in advance. He just did the math, assumed Halley's comet was a comet on this orbit that took this length, took this long, and said in 42 years in the sun, so whatever year it was, 17, like 27 or 1740 something, whatever year it was but 40 years in advance. Thank God he lived. It would have sucked if he would have died and not got to see it happen. That shit would have sucked. But thank God he was old, I guess, but still alive to see it. Freaking he got to live. He said in about 42 years in the this and so in 1742 in the summertime, look in the northwest part of the sky, for example. I'm not saying the exact specific, but he said look in this part of the sky in this summer of this year or whatever, and you will see this fucking comet pass again. And 40 he had a whole career. He lived for 42 years. And 42 years later, in the summer and the northwest part of the sky, what do you think happened? Bam, that comet came again. Everybody saw it. And he had predicted you were gonna see it 42 years in advance, up to the summer and the like up to like that accuracy to the summer of that year. And to this day, that's why it's known as Halley's Comet, because he's the one that predicted the 40 something years ahead that it would pass by because it is a fucking giant icy rock on a fucking long. In other words, that was a confirmation that Newton is right, that the whole Newtonian picture is absolutely right. Things are on these elliptical orbits, just like Newton predicted, the inverse square law. And so him and Newton figure out obviously is right. So that they made this prediction, and bro, astrologers try to and Nostradamus and whoever tries to make it, they don't even get close to this accuracy. So this is about the power of science, about that type of accuracy that you can get fucking using understanding and the power of science. And yeah, I don't even know if there's anything else. But to me that's like something that inspires me. To me, that's one of the greatest stories I've ever heard that like changed my life almost, you know. I was like that one and another one that has to do also with Newton, bro. That has to do with the ending of burning witches as a human species, bro. Up to like 300 years ago, up to like before the scientific revolution, bro. It would be common to go to the city square in the part like the corner, city corner in the square, and see fucking them people burning quote unquote witches alive and shit, and it would be common. You'd be used to. That's another and Newton's laws that put disorder to the universe kind of snap people out of that fucking retarded trance, retarded idea. It helped usher in the age of enlightenment, scientific revolution, and no longer people thought that like their neighbor was next to their house casting spells on them, and that the reason their crops didn't grow was because their neighbor was doing some voodoo magic on them. No, man. Like people understand we live in a fucking logical. I don't know. You get me? And that understanding it took a long time. Obviously, eventually, start led to the beginning and stop it, slowing down to a stop of burning witches. We stopped doing that like 300 something years ago, but that's not even that long. This is what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is about that Newtonian picture of the universe, and basically there's no fucking magic, and get the fuck out of here with that. Fucking that shit led to the ending of the burning of witches, and that shit didn't happen that long ago. That's another crazy story. My bad, I said two, but they're
No, that's,
related. They're related, and they're both pretty cool.
I agree. I agree. I mean, that's
Sorry about that, guys. I just ranted for like 5 minutes.
no, no, I love that. I love that.